Morning reality check. Rachel Bennett stared at the pile of envelopes scattered across her tiny kitchen table, each one stamped with red letters that screamed for attention. Past due, final notice. Payment required immediately. Her hands trembled slightly as she calculated the numbers in her head for the third time that morning, hoping somehow the math would magically change. It never did. The coffee maker sputtered behind her, filling the small queen's apartment with the only luxury she allowed herself these days. At 26, Rachel had imagined her life would look different. She had pictured a thriving massage therapy practice, maybe even her own wellness studio. Instead, she worked 3 part-time jobs and still couldn't quite make ends meet. Morning, wretch. Tommy shuffled into the kitchen, his engineering textbooks clutched under one arm. At 19, her younger brother still had that hopeful gleam in his eyes that Rachel remembered having once. She would do anything to keep it there. Morning, kiddo. Want some eggs? Rachel quickly gathered the bills, stuffing them into a drawer before Tommy could see. He already carried enough guilt about his college expenses. Nah, I'm good. Professor Williams posted the results from our midterm last night. Tommy's face lit up. I got an A. Rachel felt her chest swell with pride, momentarily forgetting the financial storm clouds gathering overhead. That's amazing. Mom would be so proud. They shared a moment of comfortable silence, both thinking about the woman who had raised them alone after their father left, the woman who had worked herself to exhaustion cleaning office buildings so they could have better lives. She had passed away 2 years ago, leaving Rachel with a promise to fulfill. Make sure Tommy finishes college. Rachel's phone buzzed on the counter, displaying an unknown number. She almost ignored it, assuming it was another collection agency, but something made her answer. Hello. Is this Rachel Bennett, the massage therapist? The voice was professional, male, with a hint of urgency. Yes, this is she. Who's calling? This is Dr. James Porter from Manhattan Rehabilitation Center. Your name came up in our database as someone specializing in post-accident recovery work. I have a client who needs immediate in-home care, and he's quite particular about qualifications. Rachel's pulse quickened. I do specialize in that area, yes. What kind of accident are we talking about? Skiing injury. Spinal compression, multiple fractures, severe soft tissue damage. He's made remarkable progress, but the physical trauma left significant muscle tension and mobility issues. The position would be 5 days a week for the next 3 months, possibly longer. 3 months of steady work. Rachel's mind raced through the calculations. What's the compensation? When Dr. Porter named the figure, Rachel nearly dropped the phone. It was more than she made in 6 months combined from all her jobs. There had to be a catch. That's very generous, Dr. Porter. May I ask who the client is? There was a pause. Nathan Blackwell. Rachel's breath caught. Everyone in New York knew that name? Blackwell Industries. Tech billionaire. His face had been plastered across every newspaper 6 months ago when his accident made headlines. The reclusive CEO who rarely gave interviews, known for his brilliant mind and reportedly icy demeanor. Mr. Blackwell has been through 8 therapists in 4 months, Dr. Porter continued, his voice dropping. He's difficult, demanding, and frankly not the warmest person. But you came highly recommended by 3 of my colleagues. They said if anyone could handle a challenging client, it would be you. Rachel thought about the bills in her drawer. About Tommy's next semester tuition due in 6 weeks. About her mother's voice telling her to be brave. When would I start? The penthouse meeting 2 hours later. Rachel stood in the marble lobby of the most expensive building in Manhattan, clutching her professional bag like a lifeline. The doorman had looked at her modest clothing with barely concealed skepticism before calling up to confirm her appointment. Now she stood in an elevator with mirrors on all sides, watching her reflection rise. 60 floors into the sky, the elevator doors opened directly into a penthouse that looked like something from a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a breathtaking view of Central Park. Everything was sleek, modern, and probably cost more than Rachel would earn in a lifetime. But despite its beauty, the space felt cold, untouched, like a showroom rather than a home. Miss Bennett? A warm voice broke through her awe. A woman in her 50s approached, her kind face a welcome contrast to the stark surroundings. "I'm Diane Flores, Mr. Blackwell's housekeeper. He's expecting you in the study." Rachel followed Diane through a hallway lined with abstract art, her sneakers silent on the polished hardwood. Diane paused before a heavy door, her expression turning sympathetic. "A word of advice, dear. Mr. Blackwell hasn't been himself since the accident. Don't take his coldness personally. Underneath all that ice, there's a good man trying to find his way back." Before Rachel could respond, Diane knocked and opened the door. The study was darker than the rest of the penthouse. Heavy curtains blocking most of the natural light. Bookshelves lined the walls, filled with leather-bound volumes that actually looked read rather than decorative. Behind a massive desk sat Nathan Blackwell. Rachel had seen his photos, but they didn't capture the reality of the man. Even seated, his presence filled the room. Dark hair fell across his forehead, slightly longer than in his corporate photos. His jaw was tight, his shoulders rigid, with the kind of tension Rachel recognized from years of working with pain patients. But it was his eyes that caught her, dark and guarded, with shadows that spoke of sleepless nights and struggles hidden from the world. "Miss Bennett." His voice was deep, clipped, dismissive. He didn't stand, didn't offer his hand. "You're younger than I expected." Rachel straightened her spine, meeting his gaze directly. She had dealt with difficult clients before. "I'm 26, Mr. Blackwell. I've been studying therapeutic massage since I was 18 and have been a licensed professional for 4 years. My age doesn't diminish my qualifications." Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise? Maybe? Or respect? "Dr. Porter speaks highly of you. He claims you're the best at deep tissue work for trauma recovery." "I'm very good at what I do," Rachel said simply. "But I should tell you up front, I don't tolerate rudeness or disrespect. I understand you've been through a difficult experience, but if we're going to work together, we need mutual respect." Nathan's eyebrows rose. For a moment, Rachel worried she had blown the opportunity before it began. Then, unexpectedly, the corner of his mouth twitched. It wasn't quite a smile, but it was close. "Fair enough. When can you start?" "Dr. Porter sent me your medical files. I've reviewed them and prepared a treatment plan. We can start today if you're ready. First session, 30 minutes later." Rachel had transformed one of Nathan's spare rooms into a temporary therapy space. Diane had helped her set up her portable massage table, and Rachel had arranged her oils, heating pads, and tools with practiced efficiency. Nathan entered slowly, and Rachel noticed the stiffness in his gait, the way he favored his left side. He wore loose athletic pants and a t-shirt that revealed arms still well-muscled despite months of limited activity. But it was the scars she noticed, angry red lines visible on his forearms, testament to the violence of his accident. "I'll need you on the table, face down to start," Rachel said professionally. "We'll begin with your back and shoulders. Based on your files, that's where you're holding the most tension." Nathan complied wordlessly, and Rachel washed her hands, warming her massage oil between her palms. When she placed her hands on his upper back, she felt him flinch. "Cold hands?" she asked gently. "No, just not used to being touched anymore." The vulnerability in that statement made Rachel's heart squeeze unexpectedly. She began to work slowly, methodically, feeling the knots of tension beneath her fingers. His muscles were like stone, locked in a protective pattern that his body had adopted to guard against pain. "You're going to feel some discomfort," Rachel warned, as she began deeper pressure on a particularly tight area, "but I need you to breathe through it. Tell me if it becomes too much." Nathan's response was a grunt, but Rachel felt his breath deepen. Felt him trying to release the tension even as his body fought to hold it. They worked in silence for 20 minutes, Rachel's hands moving with the precision born of years of practice. She could feel the story his body told, the trauma it had endured, the fear it still carried. "You're good at this," Nathan said suddenly, his voice slightly muffled by the face cradle. "Really good. Thank you. Your body has been through a lot. It's protecting you the only way it knows how, by staying tight and guarded. My job is to help it feel safe enough to let go. Is that your approach to everything? Making things feel safe?" Rachel paused, considering the question. I suppose it is. My mom always said that healing can't happen when we're scared. We have to feel safe first, whether it's our body or our heart. Your mom sounds wise. Is she a therapist too? She was a cleaning lady, Rachel said quietly, resuming her work on his shoulder blade. She cleaned office buildings for 20 years, so my brother and I could have opportunities she never had. She passed away 2 years ago. Nathan was silent for a moment. When he spoke, his voice had lost some of its edge. I'm sorry. That must have been hard. Still is. But she taught me to be strong, to work hard, and to never let anyone make me feel less than I am. Rachel moved to his lower back, feeling the severe tightness there. That's what I hear in your voice sometimes. Mr. Blackwell, someone who's afraid of being seen as less than they were. Rachel felt Nathan's entire body tense. And for a moment, she worried she had gone too far. Then, slowly, she felt something shift. His breath released in a long exhale, and his muscles softened under her hands in a way they hadn't before. Nathan, he said quietly, if you're going to read me that accurately, you should call me Nathan. Rachel smiled, though he couldn't see it. Only if you call me Rachel. Deal. As the session continued, Rachel felt the ice around Nathan Blackwell beginning to crack just a little. She had no way of knowing that this moment, this first breakthrough, would change both of their lives forever. All she knew was that beneath the cold exterior and defensive walls, there was a man in pain who desperately needed someone to see him. And for the first time in months, Rachel felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. When the session ended and Nathan slowly sat up, rolling his shoulders experimentally, he looked at her with something new in his eyes. Not quite warmth, but maybe the promise of it. Same time tomorrow? He asked. Rachel nodded, gathering her supplies. Same time tomorrow. As she left the penthouse, Rachel couldn't shake the feeling that she had just stepped into something much bigger than a job. The way Nathan had looked at her in that final moment, the vulnerability he had shown, the connection she had felt, it both excited and terrified her on the subway ride back to Queens. Watching the city blur past, Rachel thought about her mother's favorite saying. Sometimes the best things in life come disguised as the scariest opportunities. She had taken the leap. Now she just had to see where it would lead. 3 weeks of progress, Rachel had fallen into a rhythm with Nathan. It felt both comfortable and dangerous. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, she would arrive at the penthouse at 9 sharp. Diane would greet her with warm coffee and updates about Nathan's mood, which Rachel had learned varied dramatically depending on how much sleep he had gotten and how many business calls he had endured. Today was different, though. Rachel could feel it the moment the elevator doors opened. The penthouse felt charged with an energy that made her skin prickle. Diane met her at the entrance, her usually calm face tight with concern. He's had a rough morning, Diane whispered, taking Rachel's coat. His ex-fiancée showed up unannounced an hour ago. They're in the living room now. Rachel's stomach dropped. In 3 weeks, Nathan had shared bits and pieces of his life with her during their sessions. She knew about his demanding father who had built Blackwell Industries from nothing. She knew about the pressure Nathan felt to prove himself worthy of the legacy, but he had only mentioned his ex-fiancée once, and even then, his voice had turned so cold that Rachel hadn't dared ask more questions. Should I come back later? Rachel asked, already dreading the loss of income but not wanting to intrude on something personal. No, please stay. He needs you today more than ever. Diane's hand on Rachel's arm was gentle but firm. Trust me on this. Rachel nodded and made her way to the therapy room, trying to ignore the sound of raised voices drifting from the living area. She set up her equipment slowly, deliberately focusing on each task to calm her own nerves. She had no right to feel jealous or upset about Nathan having a past, about someone from his old life appearing. He was her client, nothing more. Except that was a lie she had been telling herself for 2 weeks now. Somewhere between the deep tissue work and the late-night sessions, when Nathan's pain kept him awake, something had shifted. The way he looked at her sometimes, the way his voice softened when he said her name. The accidental brush of his hand against hers that lingered too long to be coincidental. Rachel felt it all, and it terrified her. The therapy room door opened abruptly. Nathan stood in the doorway, His jaw clenched so tight Rachel could see the muscle jumping. Behind him, a woman appeared. And Rachel understood immediately why Nathan had been engaged to her. Vanessa Montgomery looked like she had stepped off a runway. Tall, blonde, impossibly elegant, in a designer dress that probably cost more than Rachel's annual rent. Her blue eyes swept over Rachel with the kind of dismissive assessment that made Rachel feel suddenly very aware of her simple black yoga pants and pullover. "So this is the little masseuse," Vanessa said, her voice dripping with condescension. "How quaint that you've found yourself a new hobby, Nathan. Playing doctor with the help. That's enough, Vanessa." Nathan's voice was ice. "Rachel is a licensed professional therapist, and you have no right to speak to her that way." Vanessa's perfect lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Always so protective of your projects. Remember when you used to be that protective of me?" Rachel felt like she was intruding on something intimate and painful. "I can reschedule, Nathan. Give you time to sort things out." "No." Nathan's response was immediate and firm. He stepped fully into the room, closing the door on Vanessa without another word. Through the door, Rachel could hear the sound of high heels clicking away. Then Diane's soothing voice offering to call a car. Nathan stood with his back to the door, his shoulders rigid with tension that had nothing to do with his physical injuries. Rachel recognized the posture of someone trying desperately to hold themselves together. "Nathan," she said softly, "do you want to talk about it, or do you want me to work on that tension you're carrying in every muscle of your body?" He turned to face her, and Rachel's breath caught at the raw emotion in his eyes. "She left me, 2 days after the accident, when I was still in the hospital, she walked in, looked at me in that bed with tubes and machines keeping me alive, and told me she couldn't do this. That she had signed up for the powerful CEO, not the broken man." Rachel's heart shattered for him. She moved closer, not touching, but near enough that he could feel her presence. "I'm so sorry. That's unforgivable. She's back because I'm walking again, because the tabloids are speculating about my return to work." Suddenly, she remembers all the reasons she loved me. Nathan's laugh was bitter. "Except she never loved me. She loved the idea of being Mrs. Nathan Blackwell, the power, the status, the lifestyle." "Then she's a fool," Rachel said fiercely. "Because the man I've gotten to know these past 3 weeks, the one who's fought through pain without complaint, who asks Diane about her grandson's baseball games, who donated anonymously to the community center where I volunteer, that man is worth 1,000 of her." Nathan's head snapped up. "How did you know about the donation?" Rachel felt her cheeks heat. "The center director mentioned a mysterious benefactor who had covered our entire year's operating costs. I did some research and found a connection to one of your subsidiary companies. You didn't want anyone to know. I didn't do it for recognition. That's what makes it matter." They stood there in the charged silence, something unspoken hanging between them. Nathan took a step closer, then another, until they were inches apart. Rachel could feel the warmth radiating from his body, could smell the subtle cologne he wore, could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. "Rachel, these sessions with you, they've become the best part of my day. And it's not just because you're healing my body." His voice was rough with emotion. "You make me feel like I can be myself, scars and all. You don't see the CEO or the money or the reputation. You see me?" Rachel's heart was pounding so hard she was sure he could hear it. "Nathan, I'm your therapist. We can't then fire yourself." "What?" Nathan reached up slowly, giving her time to pull away, and cupped her face in his hands. "Fire yourself as my therapist. Let me hire someone else to do the physical therapy. Because I can't keep pretending that this is just professional anymore. I can't keep lying to myself about what I feel when you're near me." The kiss that changed everything, Rachel knew she should step back, should maintain the professional boundary that was crumbling beneath her feet. But when Nathan leaned in, when his lips met hers, in a kiss that was both gentle and desperate, all her resistance melted away. The kiss started soft, questioning, giving her a chance to refuse. But Rachel found herself responding, her hands sliding up to his shoulders. Feeling the muscles that she had worked so carefully to heal now tensing under her touch. For an entirely different reason, Nathan deepened the kiss. One hand sliding into her hair, while the other wrapped around her waist, pulling her closer. Rachel felt like she was falling and flying at the same time, every nerve ending alive with sensation. This was wrong and perfect and terrifying and exactly what she had been secretly dreaming about for weeks. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Nathan rested his forehead against hers. "Tell me you feel this too. Tell me I'm not imagining it." "You're not imagining it," Rachel whispered. "I feel it. But Nathan, I'm scared. Your world and mine, they're so different." "What happens when reality sets in? When you realize I don't fit into your life? What if you're wrong? What if you fit perfectly and we've just been too afraid to see it?" Before Rachel could respond, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled away reluctantly to check it, and her face paled as she read the message. "What's wrong?" Nathan asked immediately, his hand on her arm. "It's Tommy. He's been in an accident." "Not serious, but he's at Queen's General Hospital. I have to go. I'll drive you." "Nathan, you don't have to. I'm driving you, Rachel." No arguments. Tommy's blessing. 20 minutes later, they were pulling up to Queen's General in Nathan's sleek black car, drawing stares from everyone in the parking lot. Rachel barely noticed, her mind focused entirely on her little brother. She rushed through the emergency room doors with Nathan close behind. Tommy was sitting on a gurney. In one of the curtained areas, his left arm in a sling and a nasty bruise forming on his cheek. Relief flooded through Rachel. "I'm fine, Ratch," Tommy said before she could even ask. "Just a bike accident. Dislocated shoulder and some bruises. They're about to discharge me." Rachel hugged him carefully, avoiding his injured shoulder. "You scared me to death. What happened?" "Some idiot in a car wasn't watching where he was going. I swerved and hit the curb." Tommy's eyes moved past Rachel to Nathan, who stood awkwardly near the curtain. Wretch. Why is Nathan Blackwell in my hospital room?" Rachel felt her face flush. "Tommy, this is Nathan. He's my client." "Nathan, this is my brother Tommy." Nathan stepped forward and offered his right hand, which Tommy shook with his good arm, starstruck. "It's an honor to meet you, sir. I've read all about your work in sustainable tech development. Your solar panel initiative is revolutionary." To Rachel's surprise, Nathan's face lit up with genuine interest. "You follow tech development? What are you studying?" "Engineering at Queen's Community College. I'm hoping to transfer to a 4-year program next year, if I can get the grades and scrape together the tuition." "Tommy is the smart one in the family," Rachel said proudly, squeezing her brother's good hand. Straight A's despite working to part-time jobs. Something shifted in Nathan's expression, and Rachel saw him looking at Tommy with new respect. That kind of dedication is rare. "Have you applied for any scholarships?" Tommy shrugged, wincing at the movement. "Some, but competition is fierce, and I don't exactly have connections." The doctor appeared then to complete Tommy's discharge paperwork. As they processed everything, Nathan pulled Rachel aside. "How much is Tommy's tuition?" Rachel stiffened. "Nathan, no. That's not why I told you about him. I know that. But I have connections at 3 universities with excellent engineering programs. Let me make some calls, see if we can't find him some scholarship opportunities." No strings attached, Rachel. Just one person helping another. Rachel wanted to refuse, wanted to maintain her independence, but looking at Tommy's hopeful face, thinking about the bills waiting at home, she found herself nodding. "Thank you. But only if it's legitimate opportunities based on his merit. I wouldn't offer anything less." On the drive back to the penthouse, with Tommy safely home and resting, Rachel found herself studying Nathan's profile as he drove. "Why are you doing this, really?" Nathan was quiet for a moment. "Because when I had my accident, when everything fell apart, I learned who actually cared about me and who just cared about what I could do for them." Vanessa left. Half my supposed friends disappeared, but Diane stayed. Dr. Porter went out of his way to find me the best therapist, even when I was an impossible patient. And you've shown me more genuine kindness in 3 weeks than most people have in years. I want to be the kind of person who pays that forward. Rachel felt tears prick her eyes. "You already are that person, Nathan. You just forgot for a while." When they arrived back at the penthouse, Nathan didn't immediately get out of the car. Instead, he turned to face Rachel, his expression serious. I meant what I said earlier, Rachel. About firing yourself as my therapist. I'll hire someone else to finish my physical therapy. Because I want to explore this, whatever this is between us, and I want to do it right. No ethical conflicts, no power imbalances, just you and me figuring out if this feeling is real. Rachel's heart raced. This was the moment of decision, the leap she had been too scared to take. She thought about her mother, about the courage it took to raise 2 kids alone. She thought about Tommy, fighting for his dreams despite the obstacles. And she thought about Nathan, who would let her see past his walls to the good man beneath. "Okay," she whispered. "But slow, Nathan. We take this slow." The smile that spread across his face was like sunrise after a long night. "Slow is good. Slow works for me." He reached over and took her hand, threading his fingers through hers. "How about dinner tomorrow? Somewhere quiet where we can just talk. Get to know each other outside of the therapy room. I'd like that." As Rachel rode the subway home that evening, her hands still tingling from Nathan's touch, she allowed herself to hope. Maybe Diane was right. Maybe underneath all the ice there was a good man trying to find his way back. And maybe, just maybe, Rachel was exactly the person to help him find it, not as his therapist, but as something so much more. Her phone buzzed with a text from Nathan. "Already counting the hours until I see you again. Thank you for being brave enough to take a chance on me." Rachel smiled and typed back. "Thank you for being worth the risk. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new fears to face. But for tonight," Rachel let herself believe in the possibility of something beautiful growing from the most unexpected of beginnings. Sometimes, she thought, the coldest exteriors hide the warmest hearts. You just have to be patient enough to see them thaw. Internal warfare, I'll spend the entire next day in a state of nervous anticipation mixed with gnawing doubt. She had called Dr. Porter first thing in the morning to professionally terminate her contract with Nathan, explaining that she felt he had progressed sufficiently in recommending another excellent therapist for his continued care. Dr. Porter had been surprised but understanding, and had even made a comment about the warmth in her voice when she mentioned Nathan that made Rachel blush through the phone. Now, standing in front of her closet for the 3rd time, she was second-guessing everything. Tommy appeared in her doorway, his arms still in its sling, wearing an amused expression. "You know, he's already seen you in workout clothes, covered in massage oil, right? I don't think the dress is going to make or break this." Rachel turned to her brother, suddenly feeling vulnerable. "Tommy, am I making a huge mistake? I mean, he's Nathan Blackwell, billionaire, CEO, and I'm me, a massage therapist from Queens who shops at thrift stores and counts pennies." Tommy hobbled into the room and sat on her bed, his expression turning serious. "Rach, do you remember what Mom used to say about Dad?" Rachel's chest tightened. She said she knew within 5 minutes of meeting him that she would either love him forever or have her heart broken. She just didn't know which. Right. And even after everything, even after he left, she never said she regretted taking that chance. She said the years she had with him, the fact that she got us from that love, made the pain worth it. Tommy reached out and squeezed Rachel's hand. "You've been so busy taking care of me, making sure I had everything I needed, that you forgot to live your own life. This guy, he looks at you like you hung the moon. I saw it at the hospital, and you light up when you talk about him. Don't let fear steal that from you." Rachel hugged her brother carefully, mindful of his shoulder. "When did you get so wise?" "I learned from the best," Tommy grinned. "Now seriously, wear the blue dress? It makes your eyes pop." 2 hours later, Rachel found herself sitting across from Nathan at a small Italian restaurant in Brooklyn, far from the Manhattan hotspots where they might be recognized and photographed. The place was intimate and warm, with checkered tablecloths and candles flickering in wine bottles. Nathan had chosen it specifically because Rachel had mentioned once that her mother used to take them there on special occasions. "You remembered?" Rachel said softly, looking around at the familiar surroundings. "I remember everything you tell me," Nathan replied, his eyes never leaving her face. "Like how you take your coffee with too much cream and just a little sugar? How you bite your lower lip when you're concentrating? How your whole face changes when you talk about your brother, like he's your whole world." Rachel felt herself blushing. He's been my whole world for a long time. After Mom died, making sure he got his chance at a better life became my mission. That's one of the things I admire most about you. Your loyalty, your dedication to the people you love." Nathan reached across the table and took her hand. "But Rachel, who takes care of you? Who makes sure you're okay?" The question caught her off guard. "I take care of myself. Do you? When's the last time you did something just for you? Not for Tommy, not for work, but just because it made you happy." Rachel realized she couldn't remember. Her entire adult life had been structured around responsibility, around making sure everyone else was okay. The thought was both liberating and terrifying. Their conversation flowed as naturally as it had during their therapy sessions. But without the professional boundaries, Nathan told her about growing up with a father who showed love through impossible expectations, about the pressure of taking over a billion-dollar company at 28, about the loneliness of being surrounded by people who wanted something from him. Rachel shared her dreams of opening her own wellness center someday, a place where people from all economic backgrounds could access quality therapeutic care. She talked about the community center where she volunteered, teaching free massage therapy classes to caregivers and nursing home workers. She opened up about the fear that had gripped her when her mother died, the terror that she would fail, that she wouldn't be enough to give Tommy what he needed. "You are more than enough," Nathan said fiercely. "Rachel, you're one of the strongest people I've ever met. You've built a life of meaning and purpose with your own hands, without connections or wealth or any of the advantages I had. That's real strength." "That's just it, Nathan. You had advantages, and there's nothing wrong with that. But our worlds are so different. What happens when we're not in this little bubble? When we have to face reality?" Before Nathan could answer, Rachel's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and her face paled. "What's wrong?" "It's an alert from a gossip site. Someone must have recognized us or your car. There's already a photo online with the headline, 'Tech Billionaire's Mystery Date. From Patient to Romance?'" Nathan's jaw tightened. "I'm sorry. I should have been more careful. Should have thought about how this would affect you. It's not that. It's just the comments. People are already saying terrible things. That I'm a gold digger. That I obviously seduced you while you were vulnerable. That I'm way out of my league." Rachel set down her phone, blinking back tears. "Maybe they're right. Look at me," Nathan said firmly. When she did, his eyes were blazing with intensity. "Those people don't know you. They don't know your heart, your strength, your incredible spirit. Their opinions mean nothing. The only opinions that matter are yours and mine. And I'm telling you right now, Rachel Bennett, you're not out of your league. If anything, I'm the one who doesn't deserve you." Vanessa's revenge the next week tested them in ways Rachel hadn't anticipated. The tabloid photo had sparked a media frenzy. Rachel found reporters waiting outside her apartment building. Outside the clinic where she still worked part-time, even outside Tommy's college. She had gone from complete anonymity to having her entire life examined under a microscope. "Queen's Girl Catches Billionaire" read one headline. From Masseuse to Mogul's Girlfriend, a modern Cinderella story proclaimed another. The comments ranged from supportive to viciously cruel, with people she had never met making judgments about her character, her motives, her appearance. Nathan had been incredible through it all. Sending a car to pick her up so she could avoid the reporters. Having his legal team send cease and desist letters to the most aggressive outlets. But Rachel could see the strain it was putting on both of them. This was his world, and she was getting a first-hand look at how suffocating it could be. On Friday afternoon, exactly 8 days after their first official date, Rachel received an unexpected visitor at the community center where she was teaching her free class. Vanessa Montgomery walked in wearing clothes that probably cost more than the center's annual budget, her heels clicking sharply against the worn linoleum floor. "Miss Bennett, might I have a word?" Vanessa's smile was all teeth and no warmth. Rachel excused herself from her students and led Vanessa to a small office, her stomach knotting with apprehension. "I'll get straight to the point," Vanessa said, settling into a chair with practiced grace. "You're in over your head. Nathan lives in a world you couldn't possibly understand. Corporate dinners where one wrong word can cost millions. Charity galas where everyone is judging everyone else. Family obligations and business pressures that would crush someone like you? Someone like me? Rachel kept her voice steady despite the anger rising in her chest. Someone without the proper background, connections, understanding of how these things work. I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm being realistic. Vanessa pulled out her phone and showed Rachel a photo. It was from a gala the previous year, Nathan in a tuxedo with Vanessa on his arm. Both of them looking like they belonged on a magazine cover. This is Nathan's world. Can you honestly see yourself in that picture? Rachel looked at the photo and felt doubt creep in. They did look perfect together, like two matching pieces of an expensive puzzle. Then she thought about Nathan's face when he laughed at her terrible jokes. The way he had held her hand through Tommy's hospital visit. How he had remembered her mother's favorite restaurant. No, Rachel said slowly. I can't see myself in that picture. Because that picture is about performance and appearances. What Nathan and I have is real. It's messy and complicated and sometimes scary, but it's authentic. And I think that's what he needs, what he's been missing. Someone who sees him, not his bank account or his status. Vanessa's expression hardened. How noble. But nobility doesn't pay the bills, darling. Nathan will eventually realize what everyone already knows. That you're a phase, a rebellion against his real life. And when he comes back to reality, back to where he belongs, I'll be waiting. After Vanessa left, Rachel sat in the empty office, her hands shaking. She wanted to believe her own words, wanted to trust in what she and Nathan had built. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it was growing. That evening, Nathan picked her up from the center himself, without the driver. Just him in a simple car, looking more relaxed than she had seen him in days. I have something to show you, he said, his eyes bright with excitement. They drove to a neighborhood in Brooklyn Rachel knew well. A mix of residential and commercial buildings undergoing revitalization. Nathan pulled up in front of a corner building with large windows and a for-lease sign. What are we doing here? Rachel asked. Nathan got out and came around to open her door, taking her hand and leading her to the building. I know you dream of opening your own wellness center someday. And I know you want it to be accessible to everyone, not just people who can afford expensive treatments. So I bought this building. Rachel's mouth fell open. You what? Before you get upset, hear me out. I bought it as an investment for one of my philanthropic foundations. But I want you to design it, run it, make it everything you've dreamed of. We'll have a sliding scale payment system. Free clinics twice a week, training programs for new therapists. And it'll be yours, Rachel. Your name, your vision, your center. I'm just providing the building and initial funding. Rachel stared at the space through the windows, seeing not what it was, but what it could be. Treatment rooms, a peaceful waiting area, maybe even a small yoga studio. It was everything she had ever wanted, being handed to her, like a gift. And that's what terrified her. Nathan, I can't accept this. The light in his eyes dimmed. Why not? Because this is exactly what Vanessa said would happen. That you would try to rescue me, to fix my problems with your money. Don't you see? This makes me dependent on you. It makes our relationship about what you can give me instead of who we are together. Nathan's face fell, then hardened with determination. That's not what this is. Rachel, I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. Using it to help create something meaningful, something that will help people. That's what gives it purpose. This isn't about rescuing you. It's about supporting your dream. There's a difference. Is there? Because from where I'm standing, it feels like you're trying to make me fit into your world by upgrading mine. What if I don't want to be upgraded? What if I'm fine with who I am and what I have? I know you're fine. You're better than fine. You're extraordinary. But why does accepting help have to mean you're not strong enough on your own? Why can't it just mean that someone believes in you enough to want to see your dreams come true? Rachel felt tears streaming down her face. Because I'm scared, Nathan. I'm scared that if I accept this, if I let you into my life in this big, permanent way, I'm going to lose myself. I'm going to become an accessory to your life instead of living my own. Nathan pulled her into his arms, and Rachel let herself be held. Let herself feel the solid strength of him against her uncertainty. I don't want an accessory. Nathan murmured into her hair. I want a partner. Someone who challenges me, keeps me grounded, reminds me what actually matters. You do that, Rachel? You make me want to be better, not because you demand it, but because you inspire it just by being yourself. They stood there in front of the empty building as the sun set, holding each other while Rachel wrestled with the biggest decision of her life: accept the gift and risk losing her independence, or refuse it and potentially damage the best thing that had ever happened to her. The leap of faith, the answer came to her 3 days later at Tommy's college. She had gone to watch him give a presentation for his engineering class. His arm still in its sling, but his mind as sharp as ever. The project was about sustainable urban development. And as Rachel listened to her brilliant little brother present his ideas, she realized something crucial. Tommy had accepted Nathan's help in finding scholarship opportunities. He had applied to 3 programs Nathan had recommended, and had already gotten accepted to 2 with full rides. Based purely on his merit and Nathan's connections opening the right doors, Tommy hadn't lost himself or his independence. He had just been given a fair chance to show what he was capable of.